Hi, this is Mr. Moss, and in this video we're going to be working on renaming numbers. This is really part two to build on what we worked on in the previous video, also renaming numbers, and a shout out to Mrs. Lebowski for this as well. In the last video, just for a really quick review, we talked about how you could very quickly use a series of steps to decompose a number. So let's say I had 1,200 and I wanted to see how many hundreds we had right there. So first thing I need to do is draw myself a very quick place value chart. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So I've got my ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands, and now I'm just going to fill in the different place values on my place value chart. I know my number here is 1,200, so that's really easy to copy down on here. And now I'm just going to draw that out. So I know with my 1,000s, that's going to be a big cube right over here to show 1,000s. And then for 200s, that's going to be two flats. And that's really all that I have right there. So now my next step, I know that I'm trying to turn this into something in hundreds and to figure out how many that is. So I'm going to look here and see how many hundreds I have here. And using these two flats, I should have drawn them a little further over, how many hundred we have right there. So I know that in a big cube, that's 10 hundreds, because 10 hundreds equals 1,000. If that part's a little tricky for you, go back and rewatch the last video that we made. But that's 10 hundreds to make 1,000. And right here, well, I've got two flats. That's 100 and 200. Sure enough, there it is right there. So that's 200. So that tells me if I add this up, 1,000 plus 200 is 1,200. And that's our answer, 1,200. I can also show that through a multiplication equation here. I can say that 12 groups of 100 equals 1,200. It's going to get me that same answer. So that was what we did in the last video. Right now we're kind of working backwards. Let's look at a slightly different example. Let's say I had instead 14 tens. So this time, instead of starting off with a traditional whole number, we're instead going to begin by looking at what happens when I have this broken down, 14 groups of 10, and we want to instead turn that into a regular whole number. So I'm going to start this off exactly the way I did before, by drawing a place value chart. So I'm going to do this just like I did earlier. Ones, tens, the hardest thing here is not smudging the dry erase board with your hand. Hundreds, and thousands. All right, so I've got 14 tens, and this is where we get a little bit different. I'm not going to go straight to drawing out the different numbers, because really all I need to do is put 14 tens in my place value chart. How many tens? 14 of them. Now hopefully if you're watching this you're kind of cringing a little bit, because we could never put two digits into one place value like that. We have to break it up. We have to expand that. So I know in 14 tens, well 10, and that's really what this right here is. 10 is 100. So I'm just going to take that part away, and we're going to realize that that's really 14 tens is the same as one group of 100 and 4 groups of 10. If I need to draw that out, I certainly can. I can draw my 14 tens, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I can draw that out if I need to. And then I can look and realize, well, that group of 10 tens, that's the same as 100. And so I'll draw a flat right there. And then I've got my 4 individuals left. Still, 100 and 4 tens. So really, in order to figure out what that is, I recognize that I don't have any ones at all, so that's just going to be 0, and then I just read it, 140. I don't have to draw it if I don't want to, but I can certainly also come up with a multiplication equation. And this works just like before, 14 tens. So that's going to be 14 groups of 10, 14 times 10 equals 140. Let's do another very quick example here. And in this one, I'm just going to erase this and make a little bit more room here. I'll leave my place value chart there just to save some space. Let's say I had, 3,400, and I want to see what that whole number really represents. Okay, so I've got 3,400. I'm just going to write it in right over here. 3,400. But again, I can't fit multiple digits. I can't fit 2-digit numbers in one place value. So that 3 is going to have to move over. We always expand to the left like that. So it's really going to end up being 3,400s. Again, I could draw 34 of these hundreds, and that would work, and then I could recompose them and realize that 30 of those hundreds, if I drew 30 of these right here, 30 of them is the same as, see, this is why I should always use an eraser, make it neater. 30 of them is going to equal that big cube, 3 of them in fact, because 10 hundreds is 1,000. So there's my 3,000s, and then I've just got 1, 2, 3, 4 left, 4 hundreds. But honestly, you probably won't need to draw this out at this point because you've got 3,400. Now all I need to do is fill in the fact that I've got no 10s and no 1s, and my answer, I can read it right here, is 3,400. So now would be a good time. Pause the video and take a look at your homework worksheet. If you feel like you're ready to try it on your own, give it a go. Try number 1, and then we'll go over it together. If you're thinking, I'm still a little hazy on it, well, that's fine. We'll go through it together right now. So I've got 49 10s. Well, again, I can't. Oh, let me grab a pencil so you can erase this. Hold on a second. So I can't just fit 49 10s right here in the tens place. That's a big no-no. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase that 4, move it over here. That's 400s and 9 10s, because 4 of those 10s makes 400. So 49 10s, that means that I've got no 1s because there's nothing in there. 490. This has been Mr. Moss looking at how we can rename numbers. Again, we're looking at part 2 of this strategy, and I hope this was a helpful guide for you. Have a great day.